I looked at both of them and said, I think you're confused. I'm about to put both of you out of fucking business.
Welcome to season 2 of the Let Me Save You 25 Years podcast, where we break down a new Shawnism each week so you can learn from my mistakes and successes to build great things, even bigger, better, faster than I ever did, and shave off a decade or two from your own journey. I'm Shawn D. Nelson, founder and CEO of Lovesac. You know that Lovesac guy. And I have been through the ringer to get my little company growing toward $1 billion now, to where it is public on NASDAQ, growing like crazy. And I get to talk on this podcast with far more successful people than me. And instead of it being an interview podcast, you know, where we hear someone's life story, we just go deep on like one topic with some of the most talented people in the universe, and we get all kinds of new content and ideas and stories out of these conversations, because we're actually having a real conversation, both practitioners, both in the game. Starting off season 2 with a bang, Gary Vaynerchuk. This guy has been through it all, started at the bottom, absolute top of his game in media now. If you don't know Vayner Media, if you don't know what this guy's doing, he's going to buy the New York Jets. I mean, Gary is the name in influencer marketing and now marketing in general. It took sacrifice. It took some hard, brutal moments with partners and competitors. We're going to unpack all of this in the podcast today. All the bruises that came with it. This is where you can learn from his mistakes, my mistakes, and hopefully avoid a few of them on your own. I think you're going to love it. We go deep with Gary Vaynerchuk on the topic, business is a contact sport. Today's guest needs no introduction, of course, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk. Break the internet, all the things. Great to see you.
Good to see you, David.
Yeah. All right, man. So I've been doing this podcast now for I call it one season. We did all 25 of the 25 Shawnisms. Nice. And you are number 1 of season 2. And I start off with a banger, because each one of these, you know, it's not, I mean, we'll just have an open conversation, but each one of these is centered around a Shawnism. And this week's, I really thought of you actually when it was conceived for this season is business is a contact sport.
Yeah.
So without thinking too hard, when you heard this topic, business is a contact sport, first thing that came to mind?
Kudos to you for articulating truth.
Mm.
You know, it's real life. Like, you know, business is the closest thing to sports in our society where merit plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Merit does not play out in a lot of arenas of life.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with the education system. Has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Corporations have nothing to do with it. Country clubs and like just most of life, a lot of things in life, the merit isn't the outcome.
Yeah.
Sports is the ultimate.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone wins and loses.
I love it.
That's why I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Business is darn close.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there is manipulating law. There is some politics, but in the scheme of things, it's a very merit-based environment, which then means it is a contact sport.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to win.
Yeah.
You know, I have had we've known each other a long time. I think, you know, I'm proud that I think by reputation now, especially if people actually know me, not just Gary B out there. I think people know like I'm a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a nice guy.
Of course.
So I've always saw business as like everyone can win. I think some people, I like that you call it a contact sport, because I think some people treat it like war.
Yeah.
Somebody has to die and win. I've always thought of it more like sports, which
Football.
is like, yeah, like actual sports. Like let's say you and I, which I believe to be wildly true, if we ended up growing up in the same town and we're buddies the whole way, we would have been best buds.
Totally.
And I think when we played one-on-one basketball, I would want you to die.
Yeah.
But not really. Just
Right.
I just got to, in the game to 11 with ones and twos, I would have wanted to kill you. And as soon as it was over, I'd be like, oh, nice jumper there. Like, what the fuck? Why'd you trip me? But like, we were homies. That's how I think about business.
Yeah.
Like, I want to build the biggest agency in the world. I want you friends to be bigger than Pokemon one day, you know, a million years away, but not at the expense of others. just because I want to see if I could be the best in something.
Yeah.
That's sports, which is very different than life.
Absolutely.
And so I think I love that analogy because I think it puts a proper thing. And the context sport part is important. We live in a world right now where people are not comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so we're soft. And like, that's okay. Like that, I don't like judge when I say that.
Yeah.
But let there be no confusion. Like the entitlement is real.
Absolutely.
The delusion of what it takes to get it done is real. And people are fucking soft.
Yeah. I had Joe DeCina on the podcast, founder of Spartan Races. I'm actually going this Saturday and Sunday to do 2 Spartan races. Have you done one yet?
I have not.
Yeah. Joe, I mean, Joe's another brother. Like you would love Joe.
Oh, I know Joel.
We're all the same age.
Yeah, I get it. I know Joel.
We kind of all
I've
came
interacted
up.
with him a bunch.
And, you know, that's his big thing, right? Is like, you can get good at doing hard things. And it's something that we should get better at. And as a society, I think generally we're kind of going the wrong way. People are coddled. That's one thing I love about everything you represent. You know, you're always talking about merit. You're always talking about instilling this in kids and extending it to parenting.
And
so
the point you said, like, it is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've just been, you know, it was just so funny. I was with an employee checking in. We're talking about something. I'm just like, I'm just so comfortable. Actually, right before we started filming, I went to shake your hand. It was soft. And then to your buddy, I was like, you in the other hand. I was, and I felt not embarrassed, but I wanted to explain like what I was doing, which was I just tore a tendon in my elbow. I've had this tear for 7 weeks. I did full bench pressing last week with it. I'm so comfortable being uncomfortable that it took me fucking 2 months to get an MRI. Like, and I thought it like captured like how I live life. Like I expect to walk into the office every day and deal with nothing but fucking problems.
Yeah.
And I am good with that.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. In the same way that if you're a surgeon in the emergency room, I don't know if anybody knows this, but like those guys and gals are ready for bad shit to happen all day.
Yeah, totally.
And many of them are deeply passionate about what they do. So like when people hear me say like, I'm ready for problems, like, oh, that's sick. That's like, no, it's not. I'm an operator. And I'm aware that at the level that I play at, there's gonna be lots of fucking shit eating.
Right.
And everybody sees the Lambos and the private homes and the like pretty people that you marry and like the fame and like, okay, comma, it fucking sucks if you're an operator.
Absolutely.
But we love the suck.
Yeah.
Like when you were opening those stores and like, is that, when you picked the first wrong location for one of your stores?
Which was number 2.
Was it? Usually is, by the way.
Yeah.
You had to have that moment where was that gonna break you?
Right.
Or was that gonna dent you?
Absolutely.
And I think that most people get broken with adversity and champions get dented, scratched, 1 step backwards, 2 steps forward. And you're right. And by the way, I actually think society in the last 18 months is starting to shift back to the middle a little bit.
I absolutely.
4 or 5 years ago, why I was getting so loud about it, we were in trouble. But I think you can see the sea change of like, wait a minute.
These things swing. And I think that society is also, I think America is faced with some dynamics right now that are really healthy. Like for instance, so last time I was in your office, believe this or not, I think we were in here pre-IPO or right around that time. Seen you at a Jets game since, but we've 7x Lovesac, right? It was at 100 million. We're at 700 last year.
It's amazing.
We're at 300 locations. And, you know, we've been through, as you know, this book, 25 years of just the trenches to get here, right? Just gnarly.
I apologize for interrupting you. I'm sorry, everybody, but I just want to give you flowers. I've been around now. I'm 48, turning 49. And like, I just interrupted strictly to give you flowers because you've actually done it. In a world where like some people get hot and they sell their company quickly. Right. And that's great. Good for them. Like, I know. Always fun to make super rich. $400 million in 2 minutes. No kidding. Happens.
I wish.
Silicon Valley, 10, 20, 50 companies did that.
Yeah.
A lot of people were hot and died.
Yeah.
Emanate to disguise the fact they were about to go out of business.
Absolutely.
I exited my business. I mean, shit, underwater.
It's on fire right now.
Right? What you've done, and I've watched from afar because we have known each other a long time, it's really impressive. It's real operations. It's the game we're actually talking about, and it's fucking fabulous. Good for you.
Well, I think what's funny about it is now I think there's a forest fire happening in DTC land. So like you and I both watched every trend.
Correct.
And we put on the clothes of a DTC brand back in 2018 to come public because it was a story that investors could understand and was super hot at the time. But the truth is, we were always just what we were. We were opening stores and we were running a website and we were a good business that no one believed in because we sold giant beanbags, right?
Yep.
And we just had to grind through that. And when we put on those clothes, it was successful. But here we are now in an economy where most of the DTC brands that we looked up to have either failed or will fail trying to sell themselves to us in some, it's wild. And I think that these swings.
That's because those people were building financial arbitrage machines and you were building a business.
That's right.
They were just raising on raising. There was kids taking money off the table in a Series C.
Right.
That was everyone's goal.
Yep.
For everyone's listening, there was this era we just got out of where money was free, where the bird scooters, right? Like get to a huge valuation as quickly as possible so that when you get to Series C and they give you $50 million on $1 billion, you negotiated $20 million off the table for yourself. So now you're 25, you got hot for 24 months, and you just took 20 off the table. Let me give you the preview of what the alpha guy or girl at 25 does when they get a 20 million spot. They go to fucking Ibiza.
Right.
They don't sit in a boardroom until midnight to build a business.
They buy a Lambo and post inspirational images. Yeah.
And and they were getting on the covers of Forbes and everything else. So like, this is why I gave you flowers. Like, I understand what you're saying. It was always omni-channel. And I always understood, because you know enough about me to know this to be true, WineLibrary.com was always omni.
Yeah.
From 1997, I was store and website, store and website. But why wouldn't you be practical?
And now it's omni-channel is so hot.
I know. So I get it.
So funny.
That's why I always liked what you were doing. It's why, obviously, for people that are listening right now, we knew each other before. We knew each other before Andy.
Yeah.
We knew each other a long time. And then the guy who sits a row in front of me at Jet Games, who I'm dearly friendly with, became a significant investor.
My financier and chairman now, and great friend.
Great dude.
And so back to business as a contact sport. In those trips to Ibiza, someone was made super rich off of dozens and hundreds and really thousands of businesses that raised money and did whatever they did, successful or not. Who gets hurt? Because people lost. And I'm not talking about this scenario specifically, but just to unpack that for everyone, it's not as simple as, so-and-so got rich and something flamed out.
What are you talking about? I've lost millions and millions and millions of dollars personally.
That's right.
And I'm hard earned. Like, I didn't trust fund into this or got one in Atlantic City on founders who fucked me.
So how does that feel? So as a contact sport?
Fine, because I'm accountable.
Yeah.
I didn't have to write them a check.
Yeah.
I'm accountable.
But
I got unlucky a little bit as an investor because I got lucky. And luck's a bad word. My first 3 investments were Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah. Pretty good. I still haven't sold a share of Facebook. It's generationally life-changing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think that because that happened, it gave me a lot of house money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, you go to a casino and you put $1,000 on number 5 and it hits and you have $35,000, and then you go lose 20 of it by being ridiculous because you can't believe you made a joke with your buddies and you put 1,000 on 5 and it hit. That's kind of what happened to me a little bit investing. Like, the reason I'm okay with it is I need to be accountable. I hit so hard. I don't think I got high on my own supply. I just think my risk tolerance went through the fucking roof.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the luxury of experience yet to go through a cycle. The reason I didn't lose a lot of money on dumb investments in, let's say, 2017, 18, 19, before pandemic, is because I was starting to learn the lessons and I got into, notice the term I used, oh shit, these are financial arbitrage machines, not businesses.
That's right.
Because I know how to build businesses and always do. I had my wake up moment. And I think I've been a much better investor the last 3-4 years.
Well, because I know they all came into that office and pitched you.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you spot a financial arbitrage machine from the real deal?
Well, this is kind of like not as relevant right now because financial arbitrage machines don't exist anymore because money's too expensive.
That's right. Isn't it nice?
This is beautiful.
I love it.
I love it
It's
too.
like the real deal now.
Correct.
It's like tide goes out.
Correct.
See who's naked.
And the key, how old are you?
I'm 48 this year.
Amazing. So you're younger than me.
Yep.
You and I stay healthy, nothing catastrophic happens. You and I have to show up properly when we're Andy's age, who's probably in his late 60s, early 70s now. Yeah. You and I have to show up when we get back to Candyland, because these things just always come around. We need to be disciplined in what, and we're going to have the luxury, because this was an extreme turn. And it will come back. That's the crazy thing. It will all come back. And I'm going to be 61, and I'm going to be looking, and I'm like, okay, asshole. This is me talking to myself. I'm like, okay, asshole, don't make the same mistakes, and be strategic and be contact sport to make money, if that's your goal when you're in business, which it is always. So aside from investing, can you think of a time in your life when, the contact sport of business, you bruised someone? I mean, it happens all the time. I bruised someone? No, not necessarily. You witnessed it, you observed it, people, and it doesn't have to be money. It can also be job loss. Let me go into a different version. Yeah. That not a lot of people may have talked about on the podcast yet. Yeah. How about family businesses? Yeah. You want to talk real contact sport? Family business. Mm-hmm. Because you know what's getting hurt there? Your heart. When you're getting bruised on your shoulder, or you crack ribs, or you break your leg, that's one kind of pain. When your emotions are getting hurt, that's a different kind of pain. And I will tell you that, when I think about my career, I'm so grateful that my relationship with my brother and dad is remarkable. Yeah. But there have been many times of challenge with, especially my father more than my brother, of family business bruising and contact sports. Yeah. I fought with my dad a lot towards the end of our relationship, because I built that business from 3 to 60 million, and I was getting no compensation for it. Right. I own nothing. I'm not getting paid anything. Wow. It was challenging, and I was mature enough, and I respect my father enough, and I understand it was a family business, and he's an immigrant. And for everyone who's listening, I'm saying this for you more than anything else. When you're an immigrant, their mindset, they're not going to fucking finance school. Right. My father wasn't trying to do anything wrong by me, which is why I'm fine, which is why we're good. Yeah. He's just like, no, when I die, you get this. That's how family businesses work. Yeah, yeah. When I die, it's yours. And we're so in his mind, you own the whole thing. Why shouldn't you be working this hard? Yeah. When I would remind him, he was only 20 years older than me. I'm like, Dad, I don't really want to inherit this at 74. I'm not going to work for this and get grossly underpaid in perpetuity until I'm 74. So, I think when I think about bruising, first it goes to, the challenges. I'll give you another one. My brother walking into my office and saying, I'm out. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm the 11-year older brother. You're supposed to take this over. I'm gonna right. Well, AJ has Crohn's disease. He had a bad spill. And in the hospital, he rethought his life. And he's like, fuck this. I don't like this business. I want to be a sports agent. So, that hurt. Yeah. That was not what I planned. That was a curveball. So, I think that comes to mind. Look, let me go a little bit more gangster. My dad was part of a co-op, which meant a bunch of stores would buy together to drive down the cost. Right. But they weren't partners. Right. Co-op buying. Yeah. I'm going very business nerdy. I hope this lands for someone. The co-op was called Shoppers Discount Liquors. There was about 10 stores in the central northern New Jersey area that mattered. One of the guys that owned a store in the co-op was named Gary Fish. And in the he owns Gary's Wine and Marketplace for anybody in Jersey. Wayne. People probably think it's yours. People probably think it's yours. People still think it's mine. That's right. He owns a store in Madison, great store. He had one in Wayne. He just sold to Buy Right. But this guy was he's like 10 years, 12 years younger than my dad. He opened up Madison, which was close to my dad's store in Springfield, New Jersey. And it was a monster store. And it made him kind of the alpha of the group, which obviously rubbed my dad and Howard Nadell, the other guy, the wrong way. It was all competition, but there was a co-op. Yeah. He then opened a store in Livingston, New Jersey, within 7 miles of my dad's store, which broke the bylaws of the co-op. I'm 19, and I tell my father when I'm in college, as he's going to this meeting, that everyone's going to vote in Gary Fish's favor, not his. Wow. And he's like, no way. Like, these are people I've done business with. This is, my dad's very black and white. Like, here's the rules.
Yeah.
He's also been friends with a lot of these guys for a long time. He's like, they're going to vote with me. And I said, Dad, they're not. He goes to the meeting and he's devastated. They vote with him. Mm-hmm. And he calls me and he goes, basically the punchline was, he goes to me, how'd you know? And I said, because they're scared of him. Mm. He was getting bigger. And I knew they were all in the fourth quarter of their careers.
Yeah.
And I said, they're going to vote for him out of fear, right? And so I think about how much that hurt my dad. And then I did one of my most gangster moves in my career. This happens. I'm on the backdrop, pumped this is happening because I'm trying to leave the co-op and start Wine Library.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go by the buy rules of like same prices.
Yeah.
I had my own.
You want to do your own
agenda.
thing, yeah.
My dad didn't want to leave it. He co-started the co-op. And also, when you're in a co-op a long time, you think the power sits there. How are we going to buy 500 cases of something? Because I need them all to buy 50 cases each. So now Fish does this, and I'm trying to get my dad to break away. And to Gary's credit, this is why he built a big business. While I'm trying to convince my dad, Fish leaves the co-op and just goes and becomes Gary's Wine and Marketplace instead of Shoppers Discount Liquors, which is huge for me. Now I want to leave the co-op and I'm starting to build Wine Library, and we have a meeting with two of the stores that did the wrong thing by my dad. And my dad is an honorable man. So he calls the meeting at Stanley's Diners, which is no longer there, in Union, New Jersey.
Classic. It's like a mafia.
Morris Avenue.
The wine mafia.
And we go there to tell them that we're going to leave the co-op. I finally got my dad there, but he wants to do it the honorable way. We're going to tell them we're going to be leaving the Shoppers Co-op as well to do Wine Library. Cool. We sit down. We have fucking classic like rye with sauerkraut and mustard. And we tell them, and they start trying to talk us out of it, saying, and it was all very cordial, but then finally they said something that I don't remember, so I'm not going to make it up for the story. They said something that rubbed me the wrong way, and I was already pissed at them for what they did to my dad. And I looked at both of them and said something to the degree of, I think you're confused. I'm about to put both of you out of fucking business. I was like 20.
Yeah.
One store was 3 miles away, one store was 7 miles away. And over the course of the next 4 years, I put them out of business.
Yeah.
So business is a contact sport.
Business is a contact sport. I once had a moment like that where, the emotion gets you and you just have to say what you really think. Mm-hmm. But I love the analogy because I think, there's too many Lambos, there's too many private jet shots. And people, this is not pickleball.
No.
This is football. This is MMA. And by the way, go to the extreme MMA. What do the guys do immediately after the match ends if one of them's not KO'd?
I love you for this. This is why I love them. I mean, they're trying to kill motherfuckers out there.
Yeah.
And then you hug it out and you're best friends.
They're best friends. And they mean it.
Because you respect it. Because look, for those two guys or girls in that arena, that's they know what that is.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck wants to get knocked the fuck out on a global scale? Right? Like, we're all prideful men and women. Like I really don't want to be at the center ring and have Max Holloway hit me that way and that video exists forever.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you're as tough as he is, right? That's why I respect him so much.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I mean, I think I get that. And by the way, it's funny you said that. I was about to jump in, but I didn't want to interrupt because that's what I always do on podcasts. I want to say something very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, yay. I put those people out of business because they fucked up my dad. I think the coolest thing about me as an entrepreneur, personally, this is me judging myself, is that I'm ready to get killed in a squared circle.
Right. You have to be.
Meaning, the number one thing I disrespect is when a businessman or woman gets older and start using their money to grease the hands of politicians to keep them. If you're an old lion, like Kobe didn't pay off the refs in the NBA to play another 10 years and be the best player in the league.
Yeah.
The one thing that I hate about business is when 70, 80-year-olds start to use politicians.
Wow.
And I think it's when they fuck up the merit of the game.
Yeah.
I want to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just want to go in there and be like, I'm going to lose this battle to Darth Vader because I've had my time.
Yeah.
Now, would I like to think I can go with business? You could go all the way through and be 80 and 90 and still win.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But I'm comfortable if someone puts me out of business.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way I think about that is the way I would think about being knocked out in the square in the octagon. It would suck.
Yeah.
Every part of me would hate it. After I hat tip to the person of putting me out of business, I will go home and go into a dark cave and deal with my shit. But I'm gonna fucking hat tip it. And I think that's my favorite part about real businessmen and women.
I agree. And that's why I'm so grateful to have this time with you, because, you know, I've gone my way, done my own thing. You've obviously been doing your own thing and had, you know, crazy success even since we met. You've done exactly what you said you were going to do. I've done exactly what I said I was going to do. And I know a little bit about what you know. You know a little bit about who I am. Because we're still here, even through the forest fire.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And it's and we don't need to even have
tracked us. To me,
close.
I'm going to throw something out here that might land for some people that I would think would listen to something like this. It's funny when you said that. Do you know where my brain went? You and I have more COO in us than most people realize.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue what you and I are hat tipping each other off to right now and giving each other flowers about, and why we have this unspoken respect towards each other is I think we have COO DNA, not just CEO DNA.
We're both practitioners.
That's it.
Just like you say.
And it's when you are one of those people, you really respect other motherfuckers that are, because so few have both.
Yeah.
To have sizzle and steak.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm now talking like as clearly we're not, like literally we're having dinner. If we were just having dinner right now, which is where I'm putting my mindset right now, I would say to you, isn't it most funny when you're like shitting on yourself for doing the COO stuff when you should be doing the CEO stuff? Like, you know that you should be focusing on this stuff, but there's a part of you that knows that you have a guaranteed victory if you go down into the COO stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
Yeah, well, and I also think, look, I think it's a matter of, are you here to just make a bunch of money? Or are you here to build something? And hardly anyone talks about this anymore.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about what you're doing. Like, you know, everything I've gleaned from everything you've thrown out there, you're really trying to build something lasting. I made the life decision. This book's called Let Me Save You 25 Years. I made the life decision, I'll go another 25. And once you make that decision, like if necessary, I'll go another 25. Once you make that decision, nothing can touch you.
Well, to me, to build on you, I don't know what the fuck else I would do.
Right.
That is more fun then.
Yeah.
Not what else I would do is like, I'm a broken soul and I can't do other shit. I can go garage selling 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Yeah.
I'm being dead serious. I literally could.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, this is something most people don't know about me. I'd probably be okay with watching documentaries for the rest of my life too. Like, I can get weird, I wouldn't like it more than this.
Yeah. Because business is so complex, actually. Like, you're playing on so many levels: tactical, strategic, people, leadership, investment, finance, take your pick. There aren't a lot of games that are more complex.
I agree.
And I had this great conversation with Urban Meyer. It was so cool because he was on the pod. And I really admire Urban. Like, he was the guy, I became friends with him in his Utah days. He was out there for a couple of years and we got very close. He used love sacks to work out. He had the team like working out these, 100-pound shrunken sack. But he made this comment because, he talked about that moment where he would win.
Yes.
National championship.
Yes.
And then it was just like such
a
low because he had to then just maybe do it all over again if all the stars aligned. Where, like, I made the point, what's cool about business, we can win, and then we just move the goalpost back.
That's right. You're just kind of playing forever.
We just move the goalpost back again.
You're just playing forever.
And it is such a complex game, actually. Even more complex than football for all of its complexity.
100,000%.
And so, and it's contact. There's this other piece that really stuck with me. I recently sat through, one of these cool lessons from a guru, whatever. And he was talking about that extreme elation comes after, like, they've done all this scientific research, right? And there's things that get us excited. And we all have hobbies. We have things we like to do, whatever. I dirt bike, I surf, you do stuff. But when you go through something really difficult that has an element of risk with a group, those three things, that generates the most endorphins, the most norepinephrine, the most oxytocin. Those moments generate the most.
I said something on another, that's so wild what you just said. I said in another podcast that one of the weirdest things, maybe the weirdest satisfying thing in my life, is getting in a pickup basketball game, getting a random team, getting our asses beat 11-2 in the first game, and then working together to figure out how to beat the other team after it's been established that we are dramatically inferior.
Yeah.
And that's what I just heard from you.
Yeah.
Like adversity with a crew to the outcome. I would have done very well in like a world war. Meaning like I'm serious.
If you didn't catch a bullet.
Yeah, like to your point, I was literally about to go there next. Of course, I'm smart enough, and like it's devastating that so many humans had to go through this. I would have done well in a world war, I could have been dead on the first day. Stray bullets are stray bullets. But I would have done well because that level of fear, that level against the wall, but the crew would have been why I would have done well. I am remarkable in that environment. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I struggle in the alternative, meaning I have never wanted to run. Like, you know how people
the
love
endurance sports.
People love to compete with themselves. I'm like, why? Like me with myself of like, I did it, 4:01 instead of 4:33. Nothing.
Yeah.
But us, like literally I'm looking at you now, all of you, everyone in the room, from like the mindset of like, we have to do something against those guys. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm like,
get out of the way.
I just want to like fucking, like anything. Board game. I'm serious. Like I go to such a high level on the us. And that's why I think I've enjoyed being a leader as a businessman. Yeah. I love it.
It's one of the ultimate arenas. I think government would be, except for it's so twisted.
Yeah, trust me, I've thought about it a million times. How much I wish government could be this, because if it could, I would, well, I wasn't born in this country, so I wouldn't be the president of the United States, but
it's too corrupted.
If I would have been born in this country, I'd be the president of the United States.
It's exactly what you're saying about the older, business people leveraging it. It's been too corrupted.
It's fucking with people's lives.
Yeah.
Like that's the part that I'm just like, are you fucking serious? Like the scale that you fuck with people's lives. You were alluding to it a little bit of like bad businesses.
Yeah.
Government.
Yeah.
You're making fucking are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, people get hurt.
Policy at scale.
At scale.
At scale.
It's terrifying.
What company are you mad at? 10,000 employees? We're talking about 350 million Americans, 8 billion people on Earth. You're talking about a level of selfishness that is almost uncomprehendable.
Yeah, it's really sad. So to that end, rapid fire, as leaders, how do we avoid the painful outcomes in a contact sport?
Accountability. Okay. Once you have humility and accountability, if you're the leader, you should be able to avoid a lot of problems, especially for your people.
As employees, how can they avoid the painful outcomes in this contact sport?
Accountability. Quit.
I love it. Vote with your feet.
Are you fucking kidding me? Enough. Like, yes, I hear your boss sucks. Leave.
Yeah.
It's the same way back to politics. Everyone's like, if blah, blah, blah wins, I'm moving to Canada. I watch people tell me if Obama or Bush win in a 4-year window, right? Bush second term, Obama's first term, in that 4-year window, I was told, I mean, this is when politics seemingly were bad, but now we're in fucking outer space. But nonetheless, I watch people, because that's when we were starting to hit, Mm-hmm. So I was in different kind of circles, not just like the liquor store.
Right.
I literally, people were like, if fucking Bush gets a second term, and then 4 years later, if this fucking Obama gets elected, I'm out. Meanwhile, no one went to fucking Canada.
No one went to Canada.
And that's happening in employees. Listen to me. You hate your boss? Quit. Yeah. Well, you don't get it, Gary. I have a mortgage. I do get it. When you go home at 6 p.m., instead of fucking drinking a Budweiser and watching Netflix, go on LinkedIn and get the fuck out of your job.
Absolutely.
How do you avoid it? By being accountable and get the fuck out of it.
Yeah, because it is a contact sport. And they're playing even if they are not the entrepreneur. And I think that's one of the reasons.
By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt. I see Dustin in the background. I promise I'm coming right now, cool. But I want to rapid fire this off. You're right. They're playing this. They may not be the quarterback.
Yes.
But if you're the gunner on the punting team, you're playing football.
Yep.
Because if you miss your assignment, they can run a kickback back and the game's over.
Yeah.
So yes, employees are playing.
And for that reason, I espouse openly, even as a guy who wrote a book on entrepreneurship and celebrates it like you do, not everyone should be an entrepreneur.
You know what I said on this. I also think a lot of people have entrepreneurial tendencies and think they're entrepreneurs.
Yep.
I have employee tendencies,
Mm-hmm.
but like I'm not an employee. I think that's right. I think actually one of the worst things you could do is play entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You will lose. You will lose in front of everyone. It will fuck you up. I remember someone committed suicide in the Las Vegas tech scene, that Tony Hsieh, who also passed away.
Right.
And it was the first time that I ever made note of this. Somebody I saw 3 weeks earlier took his life. And I was like, dead. It was part of this nirvana early social media when everything was going to be great. And I asked somebody what happened. And the first thing out of his mouth was his company was about to go out of business. It had never crossed my mind on earth that somebody would feel that the failure of a business was enough of a scarlet letter that you couldn't even face other people. Because I think we should almost always go out of business.
Right.
But that's the difference between purebred, this is the game, and somebody who shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And then I got passionate about communicating of like, hey, you think it's cool? It's not as cool as you think. And hey, the number 4 at Facebook, let's play this out. You and I have crushed.
Yeah.
The number 4 at Facebook clowns you and I.
Right. Yep. On the money scoreboard, we lost.
Right? So money, to your point, you and I are probably more satisfied because it's our baby.
Yeah.
But on the money game, so I just think people have to be self-aware.
And lastly, others get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. You brought this up a bunch. I promised us in the last one. I got to run right now. Sorry, everybody.
No, you're good.
But I'm going to jump on this. I love the nobleness of what you're saying, but I will say this. And I think you're going to agree with me, even though, like, I'm not going to lead the witness. Yes, but I think the second point you talked about is powerful. I just am really passionate about accountability.
Yeah.
There's absolutely things like fraud and robbery and many bad things.
Yeah.
But employees are not living in the Soviet Union.
Right.
You're not living in North Korea. Like, when people are like, I'm like, didn't you notice that the CEO was in Ibiza the whole summer? I can promise you right now, if I was the number 2 at a company where the CEO just took 20 million off the table and went to fucking Coachella and fucking went to Burning Man and went to fucking Ibiza and went to fucking Mykonos and then came back in September and took the first week off as well to go hook up, I'm quitting.
Yeah.
So people get hurt, but people have to be accountable.
Yeah.
Right?
We all do.
Right? That's real shit.
That's right. In
Right?
fact, so the phrase I use in the book for this is, it's your fault. And that's what it all boils down to.
Man, I will tell you, I love you for that. This is, very clearly it makes sense that we like have this relationship. I'm going to say this slow because I want this to land for everyone, because sometimes people say like, oh, easy for you two to say.
Right.
Think about the other person listening.
Right. Rich guy. Easy for you.
When you think it's your fault, it makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brain fuck. It's a brain twist. It's your fault doesn't mean you're a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
It means that when you think it's your fault, you think you're in control.
Yeah.
And the reason most people are unhappy is because they think they're in control. This election, since we've touched on it, like, news alert, whoever the fuck wins has no fucking impact on me.
Yeah.
Of course it does. They're going to change some laws, some shit can go down. I get it, but I can move to Sweden.
Yeah. And the best part is when Vaynerchuk wins, when Lovesac wins, whose fault is it? And I can look at my people's face and say, it's your fault. It's their fault that happened. They made that happen.
Yeah, I love that.
And I made it happen.
Of course.
And you made it happen.
Of course. But to your point, it's a dance, and you know this. I'm sure in your company, if I said, who are the 6 people that actually, when it's all said and done, we're really old. Maybe even when we're hanging out in heaven and be like, that was pretty cool, right?
Right.
I'm like, hey, since we have unlimited time here for the rest of eternity, talk to me for a few hours on break down the 6 people. The answer is you can answer that. You know.
Yeah.
And I know.
Absolutely.
And
they know.
And they know, especially if you're doing a good job. That's one thing for winners out there. Make those 6 people know. It's nice. They should hear it.
Love it.
Anyway, thank you.
Business is a contact sport. Gary V.
Thank you, bro.
Love you, brother.
Love you.
Great to see you. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Wow. This is a topic that is just not discussed enough in business. And I wanted to take a minute to just say a few things from my own experiences that I didn't get a chance to share as I sat with Gary. Let's use the analogy of football. Okay. Listen, business is not table tennis. People are getting wrecked. It happens. Even if you're just the guy on the sidelines holding the weird, half globe microphone, you could get mowed over by a 250-pound linebacker on his way out of bounds, carrying the quarterback with him, and you had nothing to do with it, but you're there. Entrepreneurs, of course, business leaders are playing for high stakes. They are surrounded by people who are there to get gain, whether they're talking about their own business partners. Hopefully you've aligned yourself with great people, but even just executives, competition, investors for sure, right? Everyone in business ultimately is driven by the desire to extract wealth. I'm just going to say it crassly. Okay. Now, there are those of us who are more driven by purpose and principles and trying to build something great. But honestly, if you want the truth, most are driven by the profit motive. And with that as their focus, many involved will beg, borrow, steal, take advantage of you and anyone else who gets in their way, even if they won't admit it. And even if they begin by playing super nice. I have seen it over and over again. And I don't mean to sound so cynical. And of course, we get to choose how we behave. We get to choose how we show up and where our motivations lie. But you can't control those around you. And understand that you are engaged in football. So, right, we could talk about whether you're in a supporting role, whether you're just on the sideline wearing a number, cheering your team on, whether you just think of yourself as an employee in whatever organization you're involved with, which you might be. But even you can get bumped, bruised, scraped, taken advantage of, or be the take advantage of, right? You may be the one taking advantage of your company's sick leave time policies, finding a way to get ahead, get gain that comes at someone else's expense, if it's only the faceless investor or whatever. Just understand that that's what's going on. And you have to be bold about that. It's not just big organizations that are playing for high stakes. You may have started a little taco truck, but whether it's your suppliers who sometimes make mistakes and try to pull fast ones, whether it's your own business partners. I've seen people squeezed out of their businesses. With Lovesac, we've had to undergo a complete Chapter 11 reorganization. Humiliating. This is after I won $1 million on TV. And next thing you know, I'm managing a business that has to deal with every contract I've ever signed, every lease I've ever signed. Everyone's out to get their money back out of the business before it's completely gone. And they want my blood. They want my job. They want me gone. My equity's already been wiped out. I have to choose whether I'm going to stay or leave, right? These are painful, ugly, terrifying times that have to be either managed through or walked away from. And in either case, people are getting hurt. Some of my own best friends had, lost tens of thousands of dollars personally, hundreds of thousands of dollars personally because of what happened at Lovesac back in the day. I lost millions, at least in ownership value that I had to start over with. These are painful moments that can take decades to heal from and that may never heal. And, it's not talked about enough, but this is not an easy thing. And even though you may skate through, and because of a combination of good fortune, good luck, of course, your own good behavior, you may avoid a lot of these hardest lessons. I can promise you that you are playing football or something like it. That's a wrap for the first episode of season 2, technically episode 27 of the Let Me Save You 25 Years podcast. Please give it a like, a share, give me a review. We're trying to grow this thing. No advertisers, just putting this content out there because I hope that it's useful for you. Every Thursday, a new episode. And remember, if you take nothing else away, business is a contact sport. It may leave you bruised and bloodied. It may damage those around you. But if you're prepared for that, it will save you 25 years.
Once a year to take my friends away. It should not be the budget for your bike across America.
TikTok has become an aggregator for some of the dumbest human actions.
When I won that million, I was $2 million in debt, barely hanging on.